In this video, we're going to start to draw a terracotta warrior or a terracotta horse depending on your grade level, inspired by the Terracotta Army from Xi'an, China. So for 4th graders, we're going to do the warrior, and I will first show you how to do the warrior, and then I will show you how to do the horse. So if you would like to just skip to the section that you're doing, you're welcome to do so. So first, the terracotta warrior for 4th graders. We're going to be using correct body proportions. Our goal is to try and draw our body realistically. So if you remember from our lesson, a grown male, a man, is about 8 heads tall. So first you're going to draw a line towards the top of your paper, another one towards the bottom of your paper, and that is going to be where the head is going to be, and this is where you're going to draw the feet. So this is where you're going to fit the body of your terracotta warrior. Then you're going to split this space into 2. You can just guess if you want to, or you can be exact and measure. I think I'll measure. So from this line to over here is about 11 inches. So I'm going to make a mark at half, which is 5.5. And then I will draw a very light straight line. I'll do the same over here, splitting this into 2 sections again. So 5.5 divided by 2 is 2.75. So now I have quarters. 2.75. And then we're going to divide it one more time because we want to have 8 sections. So this time I think I'll just guess, splitting that in half, 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 and half. Okay, so now in that very top bar, you're going to draw an oval shape. And that is going to be the head of your warrior. It might be a good idea to have a picture of an actual warrior up on your device to look at it. That is called a reference image because you're going to refer to it as you draw. It's kind of like an example. And I would recommend trying to find an image where the warrior is just standing up straight from the front. If it's crouching down or if it's from the side, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. In this week's assignment, I did put an image in there in case you can't find a good straight on standing image. Next, we're going to be drawing his shoulders. The shoulders are going to be a little bit under that first oval. Let's number these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So there's going to be 8 spaces in between those 9 lines. So now after the shoulders, we're going to make kind of an upside down trapezoid shape up to line number 4. This is going to be about where the belly button of a person is. And of course, we're going to be drawing the armor, so they'll be hidden, but just remember that that's about where the belly button is going to be. This is going to be the warrior's waist and hip. It's kind of like drawing some swim shorts on him. And then we're going to go to line number 7. That's about where the knees are going to be. Here's the knee, other knee, and then we have bottom of the leg, which is the shin, and then of course the feet. So right now I'm just very lightly sketching in these things, and later we'll add the details to make it look like a warrior. Now for the arms, the elbows are going to be about in between line 3 and 4. So start from here, draw the shoulders. It's going to look like a robot still, and that's okay. This is going to be where the elbow is. G is to draw lightly, and then we'll trace it later. And then the wrist is going to end about at line 5. Then the hands are going to be between line 5 and 6. This is the basic body proportion of a man. And then now we're going to start to add details to it to make it look like a warrior. So So now we're going to start to add details to our terracotta warrior. So first the face. If you remember from our self-portrait project, the bottom of the face is a little bit more pointy than the top. We have a neck. And the neck actually a lot of times is covered with a scarf. So the warriors wear a scarf to protect their neck. And then the shoulders kind of come down. So you're kind of just tracing over the sketch that you have, but adding some details. And then the armor kind of comes in like this. But remember, you can do your own original designs. So you don't have to draw exactly like the warrior picture. Then they wear a body armor. And then it looks like they wear a little skirt, but the skirt is actually a part of the armor. So it's made of metal, and then they protect the bottom of the legs. Looks like it goes all the way about to where the knees are. And then they're wearing armors on their legs too, so their legs look really thick. And then their shoes. And then they have some shoulder pads coming out. Protects to about their elbows. And then they have a shirt, a cuff, and then the hand. It looks like he was holding something. And it looks like his other hand is holding something as well, but I think I'm just going to do the same for both hands just to make it a little bit more simple. And if you want to add weapons to your drawing, that is okay too. Just look up some pictures of the terracotta warriors and try and draw the kinds of weapons that they actually use. So they did not have guns. We do not draw guns in school anyways, but they did not have guns. They did have some swords and spears. So if you would like to add a weapon, that's okay, but just make sure that you're actually researching and looking up what kind of weapons these guys might have had. So now moving on to the head, their hairstyle. They actually had long hair and they wore it in some buns. And that is a pretty common thing in a lot of different cultures where the men grow their hair out long and wear them up as well. So now remember from facial proportions, you start with an X, going right in the centers of the face. Then the eyes go on that line. Nose is about halfway. And I'm gonna make mine frowning to show that he's a fierce guy. And it looks like a lot of them have some beards. So if you want to add a beard to your guy, you can. Don't forget eyebrows. And there we go. So now I'm gonna add some designs. I'm going to maybe add some lines to the skirt. Add some metal plate designs. And maybe some designs on shoulder blade as well. Okay, so when you're finished, I would like you to trace it with something that's waterproof. Waterproof means that it's not gonna smear when you put water or paint on top. So my choice for that is Sharpie marker, but if you guys want to use something else like crayon, that is totally fine. If you run out of time, if you spend a lot of time on this, then you don't get to Sharpie or tracing, you can do that next week. That is okay as well. But I'm going to quick Sharpie mine. Okay, so here's my warrior. I kept my design pretty simple, but if you want to add more, that is totally fine. And if you did get to tracing this week, make sure you also erase all of the pencil lines so that we only see the Sharpie when we're finished. And usually I say you gotta have a background, but you do not have to for this assignment because we're actually gonna cut it out in a few weeks and then glue it onto a background to turn it into a collage. So today, try and draw with correct body proportions and get as far as you can. But if you run out of your art time, you can continue next week as well. Now I'm going to show you the body proportion when drawing a horse. For a horse, you're going to first start with a square. You can actually measure the length and the width to make sure it's a perfect square, or you can trust your eyes and try and make a square freehand best as you can. Next, you're going to split that square into half. So this is going to be 1/2 and 1/2. Now starting from a little bit this way of that corner, you're going to draw a diagonal line. And then from the top of that diagonal line, we're going to draw another diagonal line. And these are going to be about the same size. Now we have like a stick version of the horse. Remember that the key is to draw light in the beginning sketch stages, and then we can make our lines darker later. So now we're going to draw the shape of the horse's head. And then we're going to connect that neck about halfway on that line right here. And then the ears. And then the top of the neck and the head connect. Not at the corner, but a little bit in. The back comes down a little bit. Back up. And then the leg starts at about that halfway line. And then the bottom of the belly doesn't go straight, goes a little bit high. And then from there, we're going to draw the back leg using that square that we drew in the beginning as a guide. And there's the back leg. And of course, don't forget the tail. So I have this example sheet in this week's assignment that has these proportions and has the overall shape of the horse. So it might be a good idea to look at that picture as you do your drawing. Now also don't forget the mane and the eyes and the nostrils, and then some details on the hoofs. Then let's add the back leg too. So here's a basic horse. Now let's look up some images of the Terracotta Army horses. So I do have an image of a terracotta horse in this week's assignment, so you could look at that for the details. And also look up some extra images on your own or from the slides that I showed you in the first lesson. And start adding some designs to your horse. A lot of these horses had saddles so that they could be used as cavalry. I could add a saddle, you could add some designs to your saddle, maybe it's a metal plate. You can come up with your own designs, but just make sure that you're looking up actual warrior horses so that you are being inspired by the actual horse. Once you're done with your drawing, then we're going to trace it with something waterproof because we're going to paint over it next week. So if you use regular markers, the lines are going to get all blurry. So my recommendation would be a Sharpie marker or a crayon. So we're going to carefully trace our drawing. But if you don't finish your drawing today, you can continue next week, especially if you have a 30-minute art class. You might not finish drawing today. So just get as far as you can within your art time, and whatever you don't finish, you can catch up on next week. We'll have time to do that. So don't worry too much about finishing everything today. But if you do get the Sharpie, then use your best craftsmanship to trace as neatly as you can. Okay, now once you're done tracing, again, if you do have time, please erase your pencil marks so that the only things we see in the end are your Sharpie marker lines. And usually I say you have to have a background, but don't worry about that. We're going to be cutting this drawing out in a few weeks and putting it on a background to turn it into a collage. So you do not have to do the background. Today I would like you to get as far as you can with the drawing, If you don't finish, no problem. Just send me a picture of what you are able to finish.